Hey guys, Karos here to another review. This time I'll be reviewing the RKF Kamen Rider Saikou Perfect Set from Kamen Rider Saber. This is a Rider Kicks figure set that gives you Kamen Rider Saikou in all his different forms. This set includes one Saikou Shadow figure, various armor pieces for X-SwordMan, as well as two different versions of his weapon. So, let's get started. Now, as silly as this might seem, I'm going to be going about Kamen Rider Saikou's forms all in order, which means starting out with Kamen Rider Saikou Kinnobuki Ginnobuki, aka the sword. So here we have it, and to give it credit where credit's due, this is actually very well done. I think they did that with the express knowledge that this is technically the base form of Saikou. You can see that all the details are actually quite well molded, including the face and body details. You got the blade painted in a nice gold color, actually it might be gold plastic. Then you have a lot of paint on the body. You can see both the lighter gold and silver for the arms, as well as even that kind of clear blue color replicated with this very nice light metallic blue. And even down to the place it gets placed onto the Saikou driver, all the details are very well molded and sculpted. So, this is definitely one of the better looking accessories in the RKF series, mainly because this is also a rider. So next we'll actually get to the base figure, Kamen Rider Saikou Shadow. Now for the most part, this is a completely black figure, as Saikou Shadow is meant to be just a kind of shadow form that's summoned by Saikou to use. But there is a lot of detail. You can see the face here, which does look like a bit of a dimmer version of the face on the sword, including without, kind of the extra added bits making the edges longer. Got the chest here, which interestingly has a hinge similar to the one on Saikou. Got details in the shoulders and the arms. We have the belt, which is smartly molded with no ride-book or sword in it. And the only paint on this figure is actually the front part of the belt, which is done in silver. You have the legs and the feet, as well as the details on the back. You can see various little connector joints, which will be made use of when we get to X-SwordMan. Now, articulation-wise is pretty standard for an RKF. You got a ball joint head, shoulders rotate 360, go in and out. You'll have a joint that lets you move it down, as well as get that full outwards motion. Bicep swivel, deep single jointed elbows, rotating wrist. You have the ab crunch. Let's go forward and back. In and out, have a thigh swivel, once again a deep knee bend, and then ball joint ankles. And of course, in this form, you can have Saikou Shadow wielding Saikou Kinnobuki Ginnobuki by just placing him into the right hand. Just like so. It's going to be a little bit tricky, but I'll get it. something like this. And so there we have him holding his sword form. And having him hold his weapon definitely adds some color that's much needed within this form. Next up, things start to get colorful as we change Saikou into X-SwordMan. As you can see, we'll need all of these armor parts here. So, going from top down, first off we're going to take the face of Saikou's shadow and pull it off from the top, just like that. We'll take the new face and place it on. In its place, making sure that it does snap in place. Next we'll take the chest armor, just plug that into the chest. Take the shoulder armor, and see that they're labeled 1 and 2, so there's 2 on this one, so it goes on the left shoulder. And the way to tell which side is front and back is obviously the side on the front is the one that's colored. We'll just drop that onto the shoulders. Just like so. Then we have armor for the arms. The way to tell which one is which is that the red part is going to be down here at the bottom, and then the purple one is going to be up top. And these will plug in too. Then, coming to the waist, we're going to remove this Saikou driver. Place on this front skirt. Then put on this new one, which has the X-SwordMan book in it. We'll take the thigh armor. Plug it in. Here, and I guess I had it the other way around. But the way to tell is by lining up the joints. Like so. And lastly, we'll take the Shin Armor, and the way to tell these ones apart is that there is an L and R on the inside. So here's one for the left leg, and then the right leg. And here we have Kamen Saikou X-SwordMan. Now when I first saw pictures of this form, I felt a little bit weird about it, but the more I saw it, the more I started to like it. So, going from the top, we have the head, which is very much designed to look like the face that's on the Kogoken Saikou in Saikou's form, or rather the face of Saikou's original form. You can see it has this image like a bright flash of light. It has nice metallic blue eyes, which also add a bit of color to the tip of the main horn, which is smartly designed to look like the blade of Kogoken Saikou. Got a little bit of red and purple back here. It's got a very nice look to it. Then we get down to the body, and here's where things get interesting. Whereas you can see the metallic color here, there's a lot of flat colors on the body armor. And indeed, all of this is done to make him look like he jumped right out of a comic book. So you can see he's got the various colors like the yellow, red, and purple, as well as this kind of light blue X slashed across his chest. And he also has all these dots to give him a kind of screen tone effect similar to what we saw on the X-SwordMan Wonder Ride book. You can see that the different armor pieces come in different shapes and sizes, and basically just from the idea of the transformation is that kind of gives the idea that these armor pieces are supposed to be different comic book panels that have become his armor. and overall gives him a kind of colorful samurai look, similar to the character we saw on the front of the X-SwordMan Wonder Ride book. In this form, he can hold the Kogoku and Saikou, with it changed to this mode, where we do see that this part is flipped down, and though they didn't add sticker or any paint for this detail, they did at least mold it in. And in this form, thankfully, not a lot of his articulation is really impeded, because all the armor pieces are attached to the body, and none of them really hinder anything, as they basically don't get in the way of the joint articulation. And it does make for a more dynamic and colorful form overall, but that's not where we end, as we also have the two subforms. Next, for Saikou Powerful, we'll need these pieces here. So the first thing we're going to do is basically remove all of the armor from Saikou, X-SwordMan. And thankfully, the armor pieces pop off just as easily as they pop on. At least for the most part. They do have pretty secure connections, so they're not likely to fall off. Then we're going to take off the belt, remove this piece, and then put it back on, as it does still make use of the X-SwordMan book. Then, we'll take the Saikou shadow paste, put it back on. As you gotta bring in one more piece. So from here, you want to take this exclusive shoulder pad, or this different one, place it on the left shoulder. And we'll take this more flat Saikou X-SwordMan face and place it onto this port here on the armor. Something like that. I'll take this whole assembly and place it onto the left arm. Which is mostly a matter of lining up the connector ports. Like so. And here we have Kamen Rider Saikou X-SwordMan Powerful. So, as seen with the Wonder Ride book, in this form, all of his color goes into his left arm, where we now have this new shoulder piece, which has a lot more purple than red. Actually, doesn't have any red on it anymore. We have this big armor piece. It has a couple of yellow panels. We also have a bit of light blue added to the mix, as well as X-SwordMan's face has now moved down to this arm. And this acts as kind of a secondary sword. It does have a joint that lets it bend here, although this one does slightly restrict the movement of the shoulder, so you can't quite get a full 90-degree bend. Though for the most part, you can still get some good poses of him in this form. And of course, you can still have him holding the Kogoku and Saikou in the other hand.
Idou, Saikou! Ashi, Saikou!
Next, we'll change him to X-SwordMan Wonderful, which we'll need these pieces for. So, this time we're going to remove the pieces from the arm, as well as take off this Saikou face. We're going to come down to the right leg, place on the thigh armor. I'm going to take this new piece of Shin Armor and place the face onto here. Place that onto his right shin. And then we'll also take this piece of foot armor and put it on the right foot, which should pop on place just like that. And here we have Kamen Rider Saikou, X-SwordMan Wonderful. And, as you can see, this time all of the color has moved down to the right leg. We do have the thigh armor that is kept from the base form. Then we have this cool piece of shin armor, which again adds in a bit of light blue, which actually is designed to match up with the tip of the horn, as well as foot armor here, where some light blue has been added for a toe spike. So that increases his kick power, and if you want you can have him hold the Kogoken Saikou in his other hand. And honestly, this reminds me a lot of Masked Rider Den-No Climax form, where he had the two masks on his shoulders and one on his chest, and with that form he could actually use different parts of his body, different rails specifically, to move those masks onto either the right leg or the left arm to increase his kick or punch power. And while probably not an homage, it is a cool similarity. And finally, due to the nature of this figure, if you want, you can actually mix and match pieces to make your own original Saikou form. So in this case, I decided to give him the full Monty and basically equip him with all the armor, including the armor for both Saikou X, or rather X-SwordMan Powerful and X-SwordMan Wonderful, as well as having him hold both versions of Kogoken Saikou. But if you want, you can do your own original thing, like give all of his armor to the top half, all of it to the bottom half, or just, have a bit of half and half. There definitely is a lot of freedom and playability you can make using all of the different armor pieces given to you here. And there we go! Overall, this is a great set that was well worth the wait. While Bandai certainly could have released just a figure of Saikou Shadow with Kogoken Saikou as an accessory, that definitely would have been a not very interesting figure, since it is mostly black with just got silver on the belt, though there are also shades of grey in the show, but either way it wouldn't have looked very good. And it wouldn't have been very appealing, but it definitely is a lot better since they waited for X-SwordMan to release the set. Of course, you get those accessories, the different versions of Saikou, and both versions of the sword. Not to mention you get all the armor pieces, which do let you change it into X-SwordMan as well as X-SwordMan Powerful and Wonderful, not to mention the ability to make your own original form. And definitely, like with the Saber form change set, the Regai Knight and Wonder combo set, they did this one very good too, in that all the pieces attach on and detach very easily, and they aren't very likely to fall off, so it makes it very easy to change between the different forms and have them stay in whichever form you'd like. Not to mention, there is a lot of well-colored detail, as well as articulation that, for the most part, isn't hindered by the armor. And while there are some details missing, it does have enough to suffice. So, if you're a big fan of Kamen Rider Saikou, and you want a nice set with all of his different forms, I can definitely recommend picking this up. Next time, we'll be going into the new Sentai Zenkaiser, where we'll be looking at the Gear Tlinger Kanzen Narikiri set. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you're new and would like to see more, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. And for now, this is Karo50, writing off.